Well, I think that now is the perfect time to challenge that alliance, because we have a very unstable person in the White House. Now is a better time than ever before to challenge that alliance, which Malcolm Fraser called dangerous.
Hi, everyone. This is A Piece of Kate. I'm Emma Pegram.
And I'm Kate Hulett.
We're recording at 5 p.m. Wednesday. It's 31 days until the election today.
It sounds like we're doing like 28 days later. If anyone's out there, tune in, send us a message, send up a smoke signal.
I mean, do so, yeah.
Subscribe online, Kate, for Fremantle.com.
Great plug. I was thinking last night about during the state campaign, we had this little thing where almost every day we would get banana bread from this nearby cafe, if you remember.
I do remember.
And every day there'd be like different people working, so the quality and the approach of like the technique of preparing the banana bread would be different, and we would rate as kind of a little cute reprieve from whatever like serious thing was happening in the office that day. We would rate the banana bread up on the whiteboard right next to our like our donations tracker. We would give it a rating out of 10. And I thought, as like a little homage to that little thing, we could give our podcast efforts ratings. And I was thinking episode 1, like 7 out of 10, pretty good. First go ever. Okay. And I thought it was funny. Okay. I mean, I haven't actually listened to it, but I thought it was good. Episode 2, I thought kind of a bit maybe a 4 out of 10, which is maybe a bit scary for listeners because 3, 2, 1, there's a lot of
I'm excited
long way
where this
down
is going.
from 4. Episode 3, great.
Really?
Yeah,
perfectly cooked?
No, not 10. I'm thinking 8.5 maybe.
Okay.
Because like I don't want to set the ceiling.
Yeah,
already,
I like when you get to write your own reviews. That's good. Also, I wonder if Peter Dutton's office does banana bread.
Oh, surely not.
Reviews.
I mean, they might do other things. Review.
I wonder.
I don't know.
I wonder.
How mean he was that day.
Okay, what are we aiming for today? Undercooked, not enough butter.
I feel like today's going to be a 6. I don't know. I mean, it could.
Wow.
Let's see.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks you for tuning in to our 6 out of 10 podcast. Here we go.
So today you met with a lady called Jo Vallentine, who lots of our listeners will probably know.
Yeah.
She's pretty famous around town.
Yeah, I have been a long time
Jo Val fan.
Jo fan. Jo Stan.
Jo Stan.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, she is a long-standing nuclear and peace activist and campaigner.
Yeah.
She was the first ever Greens senator for Western Australia, but she was in Parliament before that. She stood as an independent and for another anti-nuclear party.
That's how it started, yeah.
It was from like the mid-80s or something, so
79.
before my time. And you spoke to her today about AUKUS. What is AUKUS?
I get told off from my brother for saying acronym when it's an initialism. Acronym is when it makes a word. Initialism is when it's like SOS.
Oh, God.
AUKUS is an acronym. There's the first bit of learning. I mean, my brother probably hasn't listened to any of these, but he will correct me. So AUKUS, AUKUS is how it's spelled. But in Instagram, it will always correct to AUKUS as in killer whale. It's definitely AUKUS. A for Australia, UK for United Kingdom, US for United States. So it's a deal between Australia, England and America about submarines and making nuclear-powered submarines. So not nuclear-armed submarines, but nuclear-powered submarines. And they actually haven't been designed yet. A bit of it, the engine, I think, is being made in England. We've already spent 800 million, or just sent that to Rolls-Royce in England to work on that bit or look at it or something. And then we've just sent a down payment of another 800 million, I believe, to the US earlier this year. Just as like, here, like a lay-by, just putting it down.
Such a shopkeeper term.
Yeah.
Just putting those submarines on lay-by,
yeah.
Thanks.
And so the ultimate outcome is nuclear powered submarines, which are long-range submarines. But in the interim, we'll get some second-hand submarines from America to tide us over before we get these ones which haven't been designed nor built yet.
Cool.
Or, I mean, it's completely airtight, legitimate. Yeah, I mean, AUKUS is a word that's not a word, an acronym that's flung about. But I thought I need to speak to a real expert on this.
I think that we're buying into the nuclearization of Australia in a very big way. And that is alarming. Accidents happen.
This deal, this AUKUS deal, for how many submarines?
Oh, well, in the end, I'm not even sure what the number is now, because I think it's beside the point.
Yes,
we're not going to get them. They're not going to arrive. But we're paying the money up front to the Americans, like a down payment on submarines that will never arrive, and we will never get that money back either. It's transactional. And so as long as we are stupid enough to keep paying money, the Americans will keep on proceeding as though AUKUS is going to happen, as though the submarines are going to arrive under our flag. They won't. What the US Navy wants is home porting of their submarines at HMAS Sterling. That's what suits them, and that's what the Australian government will deliver, because we suck up to the Americans, give them whatever they want.
So the Americans are rubbing their hands together. They've basically they've just got a port outside of America for them to use for their
That's right.
ships.
And we're paying to upgrade it, to house a whole lot of American service personnel. We will have our roads clogged. Our housing will be even more crucial for people who are struggling, and the health and education, the schools. I mean, you know, it's a lot of people who will be coming to Sterling and Rockingham, having a big impact on that community.
Yeah. Can you explain just quickly why these submarines, we don't need them for our defence force?
Well, they're long range. They suit the American adventurism, I'll call it, in the South China Sea. They have China in their sights. There's no doubt about that. China's not an enemy of ours. It's a big trading partner. We have no enemies of our own making, but we follow along the Americans if they have an enemy and they want our support to fight that enemy. So they're long range. They're very big. They can't even traverse the shallow waters at the northern top end of Australia. Nothing to do with the defence of Australia.
I mean, that's completely alarming to me. I mean, beside the fact the money and the fact that they're nuclear submarines and they're American, but the fact that they're not useful. And what struck me is when you said we don't have any enemies, and of course we don't. We're just being dragged in as per the last 100 and 200 years.
Yes,
dragged into other people's fights.
that's right.
As fodder, cannon fodder.
Absolutely, and giving them the infrastructure.
You mentioned how New Zealand said, we're not going to take any American submarines or ships if they have nuclear weapons on board. We are happy to announce that.
Yeah.
And the Americans said, well, we can't
They wouldn't.
say one way or the other, so they just don't go there.
So their neither confirm nor deny policy has been in place for a very long time, and Australia has accepted that.
So New Zealand's been able to do that and be self-confident and
they're out
proud.
of ANZUS. They're out of that alliance.
The Prime Minister said, our relationship with America has changed.
And we might cancel the F-35 bombers.
But us, we say it's our most favourite relationship in the world and we love them, and no matter what's happening, we will do whatever you want.
Well, I think that now is the perfect time to challenge that alliance, because we have a very unstable person in the White House. Now is a better time than ever before to challenge that alliance, which Malcolm Fraser called dangerous before he died in 2014. So that's a very conservative ex-Prime Minister of this country who was absolutely hooked into the alliance. He sat back and he looked at it afterwards, and this is long before AUKUS appeared on the scene, of course. I mean, you know, he would be saying that even more so now. A lot of Labor luminaries have come out against AUKUS, and Malcolm Turnbull as well, saying we need scrutiny, we need transparency, we need accountability. What is this thing that we're getting into? It is not good for Australia.
One of the greatest things I think that you and I both loved about working on the state campaign and now again is that we got to go and have these amazing conversations with like really smart people.
Yeah.
People much smarter than us.
Very
who know
exciting
things.
and privileged to be able to talk to these people. Yeah. And it's also shocking how many absolutely incredible people and experts there are.
Totally.
Even just in our constituency.
Yeah, I remember coming out of some of the meetings on the state campaign being like, imagine being a politician and just like not giving two shits that you just got to like have the brain of this person given to you for $0
Totally.
or whatever.
And someone who spent their life on something and knows it intimately and then effectively to be ignored by our government. I mean, it's kind of devastating. I was saying to our mutual friend earlier today that, you know, in my shop, often I'll read a great book and then I think, I've got to get that in the shop because it's so good. And I like talking to people about the books in the shop. And then you just think all these books that people have spent, you know, years researching and writing, all these experts and bookshops full of them. And then politicians are just like, nah, I'm going to go with my own vibes.
I don't read.
Yeah. And it must be so incredibly frustrating. And, you know, Jo started, you know, working on this stuff in 1979 or something. And now it's 45 years later. And
Still
it's like,
talking about
how are we still here? And that's like classic protest sign. It's like, why am I still protesting this shit? And it's like a 90-year-old woman in the streets.
Who are the champions of AUKUS? Like, what are they saying? What are the proponents? What are they saying is good about it?
Well, I guess, first of all, it was this, it was kind of announced with no preamble by Scott Morrison whenever Scott Morrison was in charge. And you remember that the whole country hated him and got him out. So he announced it.
Famously.
I think, I'm going to scroll through this bit, but I think originally France was going to build some diesel submarines. That was the deal. And then Morrison reneged on that. And you remember when Macron said, he was asked by a journalist, did you think that Scott Morrison lied to you? And he goes, I don't think, I know. I know, très bien. And so he got duped by old Morrison, and then there was this announcement: we're doing this deal with America and Britain. And of course, the three old white men that shook hands over that no longer are in power. The big bummer about the whole thing is that it was a Liberal Party, and then now Labor have gone, you know what, we'll go for that too. Cool. Because we love America. And then everyone saw in the news last week, a journalist said to Donald Trump, hey, something about AUKUS, how about that? And he was like, what's AUKUS?
We discussed AUKUS, though. We've been discussing AUKUS with the Australians and the Brits. Will you be discussing AUKUS with the Prime Minister, sir?
What does that mean?
AUKUS, the Australia-US Defence Alliance.
Yeah, well, we'll be discussing that. We've had another great relationship, and you have too, with Australia.
Yeah.
We've had a very good relationship with Australia, please.
So that's
I would have really liked
good
it if you
for us.
did an impression
okay,
of
next time I'll do an impression of Donald Trump.
I mean, if you're going to do Macron, you could do it.
I know, but
Come on.
French is my dream.
Okay.
So
the champs.
So the champs. So
there's Scott,
everyone's in power.
There's Mr. Scott, and then there's the rest of the people who are just backing the deal in.
It feels like America don't give a shit about us, obviously. What they see is we need a base in the Southern Hemisphere in that Asia Pacific region. Let's just use Australia because we can walk all over them like complete idiots and they'll do whatever we say.
But how exactly are the politicians who are behind it, e.g. Anthony Albanese, selling it to the Australian people? What's their line?
Defence. We've got to be strong. Defence. We've got to defend our defence. Defence. China. Defence. But the thing that I love that Jo said is Australia doesn't have enemies. All we do for the last 200 years is join in other people's wars with their enemies. We don't have enemies. And so we don't need long-range submarines. And I love that she said in the past, we don't need an attack force. And these are attack things. And it's long-range weapons, attack. We just need defence. You know, we just need to protect our borders.
Just
and
be a bit safe.
Yeah, be a bit safe.
Be
and
protected.
There's actually far more threatening things in China, who are our biggest trading partner, who we should really be working in diplomatic ways to, you know, manage that relationship. So I just think for people like us, it's like someone says, but defence and national security, and you're like, no, I don't really, I'm just going to shut up because I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a big like shutdown thing. Yeah.
So,
okay, so the critics, I mean, you've done you've rattled off a few of their main points, but I mean, there's some fairly high profile, like big name critics.
well,
who are they and what are they saying?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Keating's been a big critic. Malcolm Turnbull's been very vocal about it. Carmen Lawrence, and then lots of like army and military heads. Chris Barry, Bob Carr.
So like people who know something about defence.
Yeah, I mean leaders. Leaders of the country.
Country leaders.
Yeah, what do we call them? Prime ministers.
Yeah.
The top dogs, as well as the top dogs
Former
of the
PMs,
military.
former head of the military.
And I mean, you can, if you decided on things by gut, you would go, I don't know if I want to like tie my fortunes to Mr. Donald Trump.
I mean, if you ask me personally to give him billions of dollars,
Or if you go,
out of my own
let's
pocket,
do a
which-
deal together where, I mean, he's not going to do a deal that we benefit from.
I mean,
that's not in his interest.
Yeah, totally. It's funny that more people aren't talking about that. He's like famously a deal maker for his own benefit. And we're like, yeah, we'll just do a deal
He's
with him
a
because
deal
he'll be
breaker
so good for us.
and
Yeah.
he's had there's been no recourse. He can do literally whatever he wants, and everyone's like, you know. And I think in the deal, in the agreement, if it gets to the point where they say, actually, we don't have any submarines to give you, whether they're secondhand or new, they can renege, and it's fine. There's no kind of penalty.
There's a lot of flexibility
But of course,
in the deal. For
we're
them.
just like chucking out money and, you know, too bad, so sad for us. But it's just a shit deal. When Labor came in, they should have scrapped it. They didn't. And now we need to get, you know, we just need to, someone needs to put their friggin' head up more than, you know, we just need to get more people to put their head up, more independents, more minor parties who go, this is not good for Australia. Get out of it. The major parties are trying to save face because it will look so embarrassing for them to pull out now. So they're just like kind of blindly reiterating that no, that we've got a strong alliance. This is our special friendship and all that absolute nonsense. And seem to be absolutely fine with writing a check and sending it across. Whereas then there's this decision like, well, we can't, you know, build any houses. Money doesn't grow on trees, you know. But when it comes to war stuff, and America, for some reason, does seem to grow on trees.
What was that great line? I meant to Google this yesterday. I think it was about AUKUS, where Chris Bowen was like, oh, but when something's a priority, the money is found.
I know.
And the government's decided this is a priority. And, you know, everyone was like,
Pretty
wow,
gross.
truer words have never been spoken by a
we saw
politician.
that in COVID, right? You know, everyone, suddenly we got money in our bank every week. Effectively, we got a minimum basic wage in order to tide us over. And then mental health was improved. The economy was improved. And it was just like, oh, you can just do that. You can help people. You can give people money to live.
Totally.
Isn't that interesting?
I reckon there's like so many other things in here that like lots of people in our broader like supporter group have been bringing up as well when AUKUS comes up, saying group chats and stuff, and you know they want to know about housing, they want to know about how many people are coming to like jobs, you know, and the Labor Party are really out there talking about jobs in Freo as well because we've got the facilities here, shipbuilding, etc. But
Sound like you said shipbuilding.
I mean, this deal is kind of shipbuilding, isn't it? But anyway, like there's no real information around what are the jobs going to be, who are they for, how many are there, who's getting them. Like we know, and you learned today that, you know, so many American personnel are going to be coming over?
I think originally it was 1,000 Americans coming over, but now the current numbers are there'll be 700 military personnel from the US living on Garden Island, and then there'll be 500 families living off the island. So that's American families who are coming over here. So, of course, they need homes, so they'll be competing in the housing market with all of us to find a home. They'll need places for their kids in schools. They'll need, the roads and all the
just everything.
Regular grocery shops and all that sort of stuff need bolstering. So, the jobs are, it's another word. It's like, it's defence. Don't even question. It's like, but the jobs. And then
you're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, it's like, that's the answer is the jobs. And we've got such high employment at the moment that it's like, people can't work 18 jobs each, That then we go, we're going to have to get more, increase our immigration to fill these roles. And then we can't have any more immigration because of the homes. And, it's like, everything feels doublespeak. We're, again, always just being shut down with these words. And, ultimately, my pals and I aren't out at dinner talking about nuclear submarines. So it just happens. It just goes through. But you rely on politicians to be, they're investigative, and there needs to be scrutiny on these things. There needs to be reports done on alternate options and why this option is or isn't good for our country. It's like we've got a massive self-esteem problem and we can't stand up for ourselves and go, you know what, America, it's okay. We don't want this. Find somewhere else for your second base in the world. We actually don't want to be your proxy when you want to go and fight people that you're starting, issue problems with. Yeah. Well, we're fine, actually. We don't have the issues here.
We were speaking about this earlier, this thing of like, people aren't really talking about it. Like, of course, no one wants to hang out with their friends and talk about nuclear submarines. So, these things just become, as you said, part of the zeitgeist. They're just happening. It's normalised. It's like, if no one's asking the questions, then there's no political will to change course. So that's something that we have been talking about a lot, that these things are quite ephemeral and they feel sort of far away and they feel detached from our lives. And as a result of that, we're a bit disengaged and disempowered.
And how perfect for them. They can sign up. They can go and play golf with their mates and make a deal, and then it just gets announced and they'll say it's for our national security, or they'll say it's for jobs, and they'll say it's good for our economy, and then we all go, okay, I guess we trust you.
I suppose we can't say anything.
Yeah. But there was just a ghost that came in the front door, everybody. So if you heard that bang, don't worry about it. If the sound goes funny, it's a ghost and we've all been killed.
So the other thing that happened today, it's a bit of a flashback to state, because they announced that there's going to be an independent inquiry into the WA state election today, independently done by a bloke, a really trustworthy, reliable bloke. And
not all men.
Thoughts? You spoke to the ABC about this afternoon?
An independent inquiry will be held into the management of the WA election after voters, candidates and members of Parliament reported widespread problems at polling booths.
Independent candidate for Fremantle, Kate Hulett, who narrowly lost the WA seat and is standing again in the federal poll, has been calling for an inquiry since election day.
We were surprised that we hadn't been consulted or informed about it before hearing about it in the media.
The final report is due before the end of June. However, Mr McCusker may seek an extension if more time is needed to deliver his recommendations.
Yeah. The election day was a schmozzle, we all know that.
Blah.
I signed a letter with a bunch of other people. The schmozzle cannot happen again. Today we get an alert from the media saying they're doing an inquiry. And it was kind of like, thanks for telling us, dudes. We just had a groundbreaking campaign of a gazillion people from the electorate. Talking of writing your own reviews. I mean, I think you could have just come and said something to us. Do you guys want to participate in this?
I wonder if they gave legendary Shane Love a heads up that they were going ahead with it. Like, he was the one who kind of, kicked it all off.
Yeah, he was pretty aggro about it. yeah, anyway, so we just said, hey, on the ABC today, it would have been good to hear the community's voices because clearly they made that quite evident that they wanted to be heard. And again, you know, classic big parties, get together,
Make a decision.
make it happen, ram it through. I mean, I think the Nationals were like, it's a 6-month timeline. That's very, very fast for this sort of a thing. So
Okay.
you know, that's a little bit, I don't know, because 6 months seems like a long time to write a report for someone like us, right?
Who doesn't know? Oh,
No.
no, as in because we
We're
do like 6
efficient
months
and, yeah,
worth of work in
effective.
one day.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Good one. She got there.
Learn.
So 6 months, I mean, ultimately, it was a massive failure when people can't cast a vote. It was
Totally.
the first time the election process was outsourced. It was outsourced to a company that is a donor to the Labor Party and the Liberal Party. And so we go, you know, same old kind of jobs
So we're
for the boys,
saying-
backroom deals. Let's just ram this little thing through. Who knows? We'll see what see what happens. I hope to, you know, trust that it will be thorough and rigorous, and
That will get a good result.
there'll be some good learnings, and that never ever happens again because it was a absolute disgrace.
Agreed.
And ultimately, we don't want to spend time like litigating the past. We want to go forward and do KFC. And I'm introducing Kate for Canberra KFC. That's
Stickers will be
friend.
available.
Yeah.
Kate will be wearing a white suit everywhere and a funny hat.
potentially
We will be handing out chicken.
buckets.
Now we're over-promising. We really are politicians.
I don't know if I've ever eaten KFC.
I mean, it feels like a good place to wrap up.
And what else? And you can write a review. You can
That's it.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Love
There's one of the
us.
things.
And come back
and,
tomorrow.
And send us a little note if that you think, actually, I really would like to know about. I mean, someone wrote yesterday, are you going for the Senate? And what are you,
Oh,
who
yeah,
are you
I saw
preferencing?
that.
I need to know that. So we'll do a little bit about upper lower house, I reckon. I mean,
Yeah.
don't tune out. We'll
definitely
make it
will.
really fun.
That one will be...
We should get Lillian
10
for that
out of
one.
10.
She'll like up the energy. Okay.
That's it.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Signing out Wednesday.
5 p.m. Well, now, whatever.
If anyone's
See
out
you
there.
tomorrow.
Authorised by K. Hulett, 106 High Street Mall, Fremantle.